think this week's episode is going to get heated, Joseph. I think we're going to have a lot of hot takes on this past week's episode of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I think we should maybe put a disclaimer on the show here. This might get a little bit testy.
It could get testy. I have a lot of things to say.
Yeah, I think we got to dance around some delicate stuff here, but I think this is an episode that a lot of range of opinions on and some questions and maybe some answers. But this was an episode that I thought was very similar to last week and how it really came out strong and then faded. I think this week faded faster than last week, but I think we'll get to that later on because our hot takes, I think, come in large part with the second half.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So we lead things off. Well, our host, of course, was Dan Levy. Dan Levy, who was a star of the hit Netflix show Schitt's Creek, and we can in fact say that. He also is
okay by standards and practices.
Exactly. Also, he's a writer for the show Happy Endings, and just doing a variety of other things. And kind of really, he's having a big moment. He had a commercial at the Super Bowl or the big game. M&M's commercial he had in that. So Dan Levy was a host, and he's really got a rising star right now.
And if I may say, I watched the M&M's commercial last night, and I said to my friend, "Hey, look, it's Dan Levy." And he said, "How in the hell do you know who that is?" And I said, "Oh, we hosted Saturday Night Live last night." So thanks, SNL, for making me a pop culture expert.
I mean, I'm mildly surprised you have not to watch Schitt's Creek. I gave it a chance. It wasn't my style. I love Maureen O'Hara. I love Eugene Levy, his father. We'll talk about, but the show didn't do it for me. But I get the appeal.
It's very, very popular.
Yeah. So our cold open was kind of as predicted. It was an NFL pregame show with the whole CBS crew. And now I watched a little bit of the pregame myself for the big game, and I thought they did a great job of casting these five guys. Obviously Keenan as James Brown, not that James Brown, but the other James Brown. He's fantastic. I thought the whole ensemble I thought was really strong. And whatever it's impersonations, but I thought they did a good job of getting the gist of those five guys.
The Chris Redd, A.D. Bryant go between while A.D. was playing both coaches, and Chris Redd wanted to go back and hear what the first coach had to say, and A.D. said, "Are you sure? Okay, well then ask very slowly." Was kind of a breaking of the fourth wall. It was a very funny comedic moment to me. It made me laugh really hard.
Do you think that was Chris Redd goofing around, or was that a scripted piece?
Oh no, that was a scripted piece, but I thought it was well done.
I agree. I thought it was well done. I thought 80 was good in that capacity. A.D. is really just always, to me, I know we've had different opinions on her over the past, but like she gets the job done. I mean, she's great sometimes, but she's just always good. Now, a big part of this pregame show was referencing how the ads this year for the big game have taken a different tone this year with all the stuff going on with COVID and with racial unrest. The ads had to be very delicate in handling these matters, and Cheez-Its came out of the gates with an ad. And I'll let you take this one away.
Well, I'm gonna let you go with the Cheez-Its. I'm gonna let you go with the Cheez-Its because I will tell you that while I was shopping yesterday, I walked past the Cheez-Its in the aisle, and I got a good giggle.
I mean, I do love Cheez-Its, and that at a time when we're all thinking about serious stuff, we can all get behind Cheez-Its, I think. And they referenced, I forgot the context, but they said it really makes you think, which is something we talk about a lot in a kind of a comedic sense, because when things are very serious, just scale back and have some Cheez-Its.
That's it.
Yeah. Now, Papa John's came next.
Mm-hmm. Papa John's is putting their foot down on sex trafficking. Papa John's has no interest in sex trafficking in the basement, and that was there's a lot of layers to that commercial, but that was pretty funny too.
It hit some great tones. They don't trust Pfizer either. I thought that was a kind of a funny little nod to it, but more of the layers. I thought it was a great cold open. It wasn't super long. It was topical. It was to the point. Had some great gimmicks. I thought it was great.
I think it was really good because it was two different gimmicks in one, right? It was a football pregame show, and it was also a Super Bowl commercial sketch. It was kind of two in
Yeah.
one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was really solid. And like I think we're at a point now. I think in the past year or two, we had much more weight on the female side of the cast. I think it's pretty balanced right now. I think we have a good balance. And this was obviously, aside from 80, this featured the male cast members, and I think they did a great job. I think they're really kind of finding their rhythm, these gentlemen together.
And I think it's you bring up an interesting point because so often um, people look at comedy as a male dominated type of a entertainment, and so when the male cast members are doing what they're supposed to do, they don't get a whole bunch of praise. They just kind of go about their business. But I thought this was a really great sketch to point out how well they've been doing this season.
Yep. We then have our monologue coming out with Mr. Dan Levy, and he did a bit that I always enjoy when they go backstage. Again, we talked a lot, kind of seeing how the sausage gets made, and probably my favorite part of this, on a personal note, is that when they were in the dressing room, when we went to the museum in Chicago here, which mimicked the SNL stage and backstage, it looked just like it. It was like amazing what a great job they did at the museum to mimic the SNL dressing room.
That and whenever they're backstage, I guess it's kind of like us Disney fans would call it a hidden Mickey. There's always showgirls backstage 100% of the time. Whenever they go backstage, you always see showgirls with no context. They're just back there, and that happened again on Saturday. And Keenan wearing a face mask hears just as well as I do without one.
Yeah, exactly. And I always like when they do that. And of course, then he turned a corner, and there was his dad, Eugene Levy, in glass. Eugene Levy, never a cast member, but he did appear with John Candy back in the '80s for a brief bit. I believe Eugene Levy was the CTV, or what's the Canadian version?
With Martin Short and Rick Moranis.
Yeah. Now I kind of texted you early in the week saying, like, I know it's been tough this year with this kind of stuff, but like I thought Eugene was going to be there, and sure enough he was. And I saw the video. Someone took a video of him watching his son run out on the very beginning. A really cool moment, and that kind of stuff to me is always like seeing like that kind of stuff. And maybe I'm a father now, but like seeing that stuff is like it really kind of puts it in perspective.
It makes you think.
And it really does make you think. So we then the monologue wraps up, and we move on from there. Now at the live broadcast, there was a Wayne's World commercial with a very good, bad Wayne's World not joke. This is basically a commercial for Uber Eats. I don't know if you caught it during the big game. It was fine, but it's as expected.
It was fine. Cardi B made an appearance in Wayne's basement. The only hot take I had from that commercial was that Wayne and Garth are not as young as Wayne and Garth used to be, but they're still loving life. And whenever we get to have our review show of that Saturday Night Live party we were at the museum, we've got a great picture of you sitting on the Wayne's World couch.
Wayne's World has a very special place in my pop culture history, in my SNL history. They're getting old, but you know what? we are too. So it's just kind of that reminder of the circle of life there.
It
really makes you think. Now coming another commercial break with it, we saw the music people doing their music playing during in between. I feel like they were in Conan O'Brien's old studio. I'm convinced that when they show these cutaways, they are recording this audio stuff in the old Conan studio, which wasn't the same building. So that would make some sense. But I don't know, something I caught, and maybe if you can stay awake one of these days and catch this live, you can check me on that.
As you know, I'm not allowed Diet Coke after 9, so it's going to be tough, but I'll do my best.
Someday. Now we come back with a Universal Studios tram tour in which Mikey Day plays the tour guide, and Dan Levy plays the guy in training. And I thought this was going to really be a rough go, but it got really good. This is very well written, very well performed. The ensemble cast did a phenomenal job, I thought. Uh-oh.
Oh no, here
Oh,
I am. I'm back.
oh wow, this is the beauty of live TV here. So
This is live TV.
as I was saying, I thought a well done job of writing and the cast of this sketch. I was very pessimistic at first, but it got good.
I liked the. I really liked how. I'm with you because I really didn't think it was going to go well. I thought it was going to tucker out very, very
Mm.
quickly. But
I think
it
we're
was
stuck
it got
again.
pretty funny there. And if rivaling,
Yeah, I think we're having some more. This is like a bit here with our glitching zooms.
oh, did we
I think
glitch?
a little bit, yeah, but I think we're back now. I think we're good now. I'm getting you again. Who knows? Who knows what the audience is going to get? This is interesting how this will play out. Cause on my end, it's a little glitchy, but you'll see what happens.
Oh,
Time will tell. Um, Now, yeah, I thought some great bits. The theory thing when Ego once in a while chiming in on how the theories had some legs, and I thought it was just kind of a lot of good back and forth, a lot of good banter going on. And our Patreon subscribers, if we get enough subscribers this month, we may share our own softeners.
Newman.
I He gave it away for free.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't
that was
mine.
good.
I'm
That
just
was,
referencing the sketch.
okay.
Just referencing the sketch.
Yep.
But
Newman from Seinfeld.
if anybody wants an insider secret on Patreon, I would just think about the letters and numbers QE2.
We're not that far off. So the next sketch was the Zillow has a commercial. The Zillow commercial, in which it depicted people in their mid to late 30s foregoing marital relations to instead opt to look at houses on Zillow. And I can't personally relate to this. Zillow is fine. I don't mind it, but I definitely know people in my life who on Sunday morning were quite a buzz with this bit.
I sat there and watched the bit and could name 10 people off the top of my head that I thought, my God, if I have to hear about Zillow from them one more time. So it was really probably kind of a niche audience, but for those people that it applied to, it was really well done. It was very funny.
I think the people who was targeting was people who probably applies to the most, and there's probably that element of like truth to it. And the end when Mikey Day got called out by the realtor, like how most of the people who are doing on Zillow aren't even like looking for a house. They're just doing this shit out of like some like voyeuristic, some voyeuristic sexual appetites that the sketch very clearly points out.
Right.
So I thought it was great. This was definitely the buzzworthy. Like the next day, people were talking about this. But again, I'm in my late 30s. So a lot of people that relate to this sketch are probably people I'm friends with.
And it's interesting that this was what people were talking about the next day, because as you kind of referenced earlier, when we get to the second half, there's a lot of stuff that I would have thought people were talking about.
Now, it's funny note, later in the show, there actually was at the live broadcast, the actual Zillow had an actual commercial on this. I'm not sure if that was a pre-arranged thing or maybe they let Zillow in. Maybe Zillow did a commercial they chose for Zillow instead of Redfin. I don't know, but I made a note that Zillow had an actual real commercial later in the show.
Huh.
We next had the COVID Super Bowl party, and I like this bit a lot. It wasn't anything like great. These are the conversations that we probably have all had with our close friends of how, oh, I don't go anywhere, I'm super safe. But in reality, 95% of people say, oh, I'm super safe. Probably are to a degree, but probably are cutting corners in places that they're not going to share.
It hit very close to home, that sketch, because I think we've all had those conversations with our friends and with our family. Oh, I don't really go anywhere except, sometimes I got to go to the restaurants, or sometimes I got to go to a bar, or sometimes, it was very well written. And, okay, it got a little silly towards the end with well, I can't taste this, I can't smell this, but at the same time, like it fit right in with the rest of the sketch very well.
Right, and I think then with bringing in Fauci and bringing in Cy, that to me, I didn't get that. I didn't understand what the point that was. I think it was a fine bit, a fine sketch. Very relatable. Just call it a win and move on.
You know what I would? It reminded me a lot of the Seinfeld scene when Kramer. When Elaine tapes over the end of the movie, and after the guy gets his bread back, that turns to a video of a woman dancing crazily, and it doesn't make any sense. And that's kind of what Fauci and Cy were at the end of this scene.
Yeah. We then had the last sketch I watched live was Lifting Our Voices, and this was basically a show hosted by Keenan, talking about Black History Month, Black people and their white allies that kind of helped them out. And my notes here, number one, is that Keenan, obviously, he was made for this. This was a Keenan vehicle. But I thought the bits were pretty good, like Punky, sorry, and A.D. Bryant coming out like as the teacher. I thought that was good. I thought the Dan Levy and Chris Redd was like spot on. The overzealous white guy who wore the dashiki and like just being a little bit too much. I thought this was a great, well written, spot on. I enjoyed it.
The piece of art was what I enjoyed the most. That was just me, though.
It wasn't great. It was just really a really good sound sketch, and everyone was cast perfectly. I just thought it was good. Next came Phoebe Bridgers, and my notes here for this first song is sounds like the '90s. It sounds like the late '90s, early 2000s, kind of like all soft alternative. Something that I would have liked. You said, what show do you put it on her?
I thought it sounded very much like something you'd hear on Laguna Beach or The Hills, or just when you're watching those early 2000s MTV shows. It had that sound, and I really liked the song. But I have to be honest with you, I'm a sucker for trumpets. I love any song that has horns. I love horns, and I really liked that song. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, give me the Chicago Transit Authority, aka Chicago, all day long with that. Give me that brass. That's some good stuff. Then it comes update. I had a lot of like subtle notes here on his update. I'll kind of run some by you. I love when Colin does the McConnell face jokes. Like they show McConnell's face, like this is Mitch McConnell watching a toddler fall through thin ice. Like it gets me every time. It does.
Oh yeah, there's no expression there.
Then came the Che leaning into the notion that the theory that Stevie Wonder is not really blind. Is one of my favorite conspiracy theories out there. It's harmless, but it's hilarious to me. And Che's delivery, like you said last week, was just great.
I think for our Patreon subscribers, we should really have an entire episode about the theory that Stevie Wonder is not blind, because it's just really a conspiracy that gets me every time.
Yeah. We then had an analogy coming out with along the same lines, I believe, with a joke that had a punchline with Urkel and OJ. I mean, that's all I need.
That's everything. That's the Wild and Crazy Guys podcast in one joke.
If you could put Urkel and OJ in a joke and make it work, I mean, this may give Michael Che the MVP when all is said and done. Well, that joke.
Someone already gave him his vote.
So now the question is, will we get OJ for a third week in a row next week? He's 2 for 2 in 2021, so we'll see what happens. Now, there was another joke, I'm losing you here, hopefully you're getting me, in which Morgan Wallen came up, and Morgan Wallen caught himself in some trouble this past week with saying...
Well, he was wearing a mask on Twitter today that said, "Yours truly." The new...
Who's that? Morgan Wallen? I think we lost it.
What happened to Morgan Wallen? Did we get frozen again?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who had the mask?
OJ was wearing a mask that said, "Yours truly."
Okay, well, he's got the vaccine now, at least first dose.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next bit I liked was the when Morgan Wallen being dropped by his record label, and then Michael Che saying, "I wonder where he learned that word," and it was a picture of Colin Jost talking to Morgan Wallen. I don't want to make light of this joke. Colin Jost is not racist. I get that, but when Che rips on Jost like that, it makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
I thought all of the guests were pretty bad on this. The canceled duo. That was rough.
Oh, now see, that is where we disagree
You like
completely.
that? Okay.
Oh my gosh, did I love that? God, did I loved it. I just finished a conversation earlier in the day with someone about how much I despise this whole cancel culture idea. I obviously people have to be punished for certain things, but education and rehabilitation are big parts of it. So the idea that people who are absolutely unable to should be unable to be canceled was in and of itself very funny to me. It really
Okay.
made me laugh. I loved it, and I didn't realize that the characters that Keenan and Chris Redd were playing, they're real people. I
Wait,
had
wait,
no
wait.
idea.
These are two different things.
Well, you said both guests. I'm sorry. I was
Oh.
going to do both
Oh,
guests.
okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They were famous for the Something in the Air Tonight back in, like, I think October or so it was. Most of those are real people. That's a real thing. I thought it was a little bit played.
Well, I didn't realize they were real people, and they amused me.
There was someone in response to that, I think, did a tweet that I haven't enjoyed back in October, saying, I played a Susu Studio to two black kids this past week and they beat me up. I thought that was pretty funny.
I do remember you. I think I remember that tweet. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I thought, I don't know, it just kind of dragged out and not my thing. So, okay, we disagree there. That's good. Sometimes I like when
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
disagree. Next came the sketch in which the sports bar had the TV was not working. And I've done this before, and I don't. I'm not saying I don't like it. It's just like it's kind of it's fine. It's a fine vehicle to give Cecily and Dan Levy a chance to have this musical number. I was kind of whatever about this. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was there.
The only part that I loved, and I know I always go back to Keenan, but at the very end when he finally decides to just jump into the song and dance and sing, I I, I don't know. It got me. Otherwise, the rest of the sketch, because they have done this sketch before. They have done this sketch where someone will say they know a song and they'll be singing a song that makes no sense, and then by the end of the sketch, everybody knows the song. But the
Right.
high point for me was Keenan jumping in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, whatever, fine.
Yeah. We then have a wedding in which Mikey Day was getting married to Ego Modem, and basically the whole joke was how her friends. I think what I project here, and this is maybe our hot take department, was that that Dan Levy was playing a Dan Levy type guy, and Kate McKinnon was playing sort of a gay guy's kind of catty friend, and they were just sniping about him the whole time. I don't think I think I got the joke, but I also don't think I want to get the joke. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I think this sketch and the sketch that follows were both. Um, I didn't particularly love the way they were handled, just because I thought that they were very negatively stereotypical towards a lot of people for no reason. I mean, there's a million. When you've got that creative a cast and you've got that creative a host, there's a million things you could do. And I thought these were both just kind of cheap shots. I didn't think they were necessary.
And that Punky Johnson's kind of shoehorned in there as the mom, and that was kind of clumsy too. And I thought in general it was kind of a clumsy sketch. And even the extras who were sitting around them, that was to me was very just like I didn't I thought it was very clumsy. That's the word I kept coming back to, was clumsy.
And I think that's the right word. I didn't like it.
Now we have next up came Phoebe Bridgers, her final performance. And my only comment here was WTF.
She frightened
So
me.
that's
Now
all I got.
here's what's happened on Twitter this week since that happened, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. People are upset that she broke the guitar on stage because there are a lot of kids in the world who can't afford guitars. If she didn't want the guitar, she should give it to a kid. Now, I have a problem with that theory because, of course, breaking guitars over amplifiers has been a time-honored tradition in rock and roll for a long time. There were two issues that I had with Phoebe Bridgers breaking the guitar. Number one, clearly the guitar was too heavy for her to be swinging. She was struggling with that guitar. Secondly, the song did not call for a broken guitar. You need to have an AC/DC type Guns N' Roses type of rock and roll song playing to break a guitar. This was not appropriate. By the way, the screaming before she broke the guitar. I'll tell you, I'm real glad I didn't watch this live because I was concerned. I wouldn't have been able to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I was sold on Pheobe after song 1. After song 2, no dice, no dice.
Yeah, I wonder if it was. I thought at first it maybe was like an homage to Karate Kid. Them wearing those like skeleton suits. I was very confused. But again, my show notes say WTF. I'm gonna stick it to that. Now it closed off with Dan Levy and others. I maybe I should research this, but are we? So Punky Johnson, Bowen Yang, and obviously Kate McKinnon are all gay, right? In real life.
Well, I didn't know about Punky, but that was my question.
Okay. I thought this was good, maybe idea, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking. It wasn't anything all that. It was kind of just like there. I didn't care for it.
Well, and I think the placement, following that wedding sketch, where, as we said, kind of the stereotypical, maybe kind of gay gentleman in the crowd was very catty and very rude and very mean and very opinionated. And now you're saying that things don't actually get better. They get better except for a little bit. Well, they get better, but they don't really get that much better. I just thought the last 20 minutes of the show was almost, it certainly wasn't gay bashing. I'm not going to say that, but it was not, it was not appropriate. I don't know. I can't come up with the right word, but it was not. It wasn't funny, and it wasn't necessary, and it wasn't terribly welcoming to, I think, an audience that's probably a pretty open-minded audience. What I can't believe is that the Zillow sketch was the thing that was trending the next day, not any of this.
Yeah, I also do wonder if maybe on Schitt's Creek, I think he plays that character a bit too. So maybe there's something there that which they felt a comfortability with doing that. I don't know. I just didn't think it quite nailed it all that well. Now, before we do get to the closing credits here, Dan Levy, our host, we mentioned, had quite the year, and that his crazy year is going to parlay us into our Simply Safe trivia question, brought to you by Simply Safe, of course. Use coupon code Wild and Crazy, and you might get a free motion detector, but you also might not get a motion detector if you use comment code Wild and Crazy, guys.
You got a 50-50 shot.
Dan Levy had quite the year last year. For Primetime Emmys, he won several, including Best Supporting Actor. He won for Best Writer for the show Happy Endings. And he also was a producer for Schitt's Creek. Now, in that role of producer, here's a question, 2 former SNL cast members have won the award as being a listed producer for a comedy series. So 2 former SNL cast members joined Dan Levy as having won the award for being a producer on a Primetime Emmy winner for a comedy series. 2 former. I have a hint for you if you want it.
Well, Larry David.
Okay, so we have to talk about Larry. Larry David is not one of them, but let me explain why. Larry David was never a cast member. He was a writer, and he was in a sketch once, but he was never whatever the word is. So that was part of it. I looked into that one, and I don't think that I was going to count him, but I'll give you a half point for that one because he is, in that realm.
Okay. Let me see. So it's got to be an Emmy for Best Comedy. Producer for an Emmy for Best Comedy, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Former SNL cast member. Yeah, give me a hint.
Both of them are female.
Okay. Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Yes, that's one.
Okay.
Now, she was a cast member back in the 80s, and she didn't win their Emmy for Veep until like 30 years later. So a big gap for her. The other female, the gap was much smaller.
Okay. So that means she probably would have gone to the show right after she left SNL, or maybe even at the same, maybe concurrently.
Could be.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I don't know who the producer of Murphy Brown was, but I'm going to say Candace Bergen.
Not. I looked into that one too. She was not a producer. The answer is Tina Fey. Tina Fey for 30 Rock.
30 Rock. 30 Rock.
30 Rock.
Yeah.
That's head over to Simply
Great question, Joe. That's a great question.
Head over to Simply Safe for maybe a discount for this week's Simply Safe trivia question. But a big year for Dan Levy. We then go to our closing credits. Nothing of note here. Now you said Pete, no Pete this episode. I didn't recall seeing Pete in the credits, so maybe Pete wasn't there. You're lagging again here. Are we there? Oh. So I think Mr. Green left the meeting as I'm flying solo here. It's very on the spot here, and I'll give him a minute to hop back in the meeting. But again, we had no Pete Davidson in the closing, and that's all we noticed in that. Everyone else seemed to be there. Of course, Eugene came back for the closing credits and joined his son on stage. Always kind of a fun moment when that thing can happen. Dan Levy, though, wrapping that up at that point in time. Now, next week, we will be having Regina King will be hosting. Nathaniel Rateliff will be the musical guest for that week. And I think that's going to be it here. Brendan seems to have technical difficulties and still recording, I think. But we will call it at that and call it a day here on Wild and Crazy Guy right now. I'm going to play us off here and say goodnight, Joe. All right, we back now?
We made it back.
Okay. I don't know how you want to handle that this part here. I did play the credits, and I did sort of stare at the screen for a while and clumsily talk about Regina King and the Nathaniel Rateliff next week. But
Well, let me see. I hope that
the record light's still on.
I should still get the recording, so we should be all right.
Okay, there's gonna be some awkward gaps in there, but otherwise I think we're okay. And they might get this banter right now, huh?
Well, I hope they do. I hope everybody. This is what they paid for.
So we're gonna get any theories in for next week?
You know, I don't know anything about Regina King or Nathaniel Rateliff, but Valentine's Day is on Sunday, so there should be a date sketch of some kind. We have not seen Alec Baldwin at all since the inauguration. We haven't seen Joe Biden in a couple weeks either. So I'm wondering if with President's Day on Monday, if we get anything there.
Well, we also the impeachment trial starts Tuesday, so I think that will be a C-SPAN like Robert Smigel doing the C-SPAN voice and all that. So that's probably my only prediction I'll have. Is I think we're gonna have a cold open involving the impeachment trial.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds right. Trying to think.
I think Valentine's Day, the digital short or something like that, I think is usually a pretty good low-hanging fruit.
And we don't know if we don't know if there's a new episode the week after.
I've not seen anything, and so this close to it, I would doubt that'd be more. I might as well have a break and come back sometime in March. But yeah, I think COVID Valentine's Day, I think like you said is probably a good safe guess.
And here's just a hint to all the people out there looking to buy some Valentine's gifts for their loved ones. If you're going to buy the candies, make sure you buy the candies with the map, because then you know what kind of candy you're getting inside the box. I like the candies with the map.
There you go. And I guess too, and who knows when our fans will watch this, but today is Monday, February 8th, also the birthday of the one Cecily Strong. So happy birthday, Cecily.
I have to say that I was watching a documentary today with Nancy Grace on it, and I was blown away by how good a Nancy Grace Cecily does. I was blown away.
Yeah, that to me was the saving grace of that the musical sketch. You have Keenan. To me, having Cecily wear like the chorus line tights, that'll do it for me.
That's fine for Joseph.
So this is a special episode. You got all kinds of madcap antics going on. Me clumsily outroing.
And you know what? The professionalism. You know what? We might be wild and we might be crazy, but we're also professional.
Yeah, I think that it didn't get quite as bad as the teleprompter going out sketch on SNL from years ago, but it was pretty close to that over here. I almost was being challenged for my spot.
The teleprompter going out sketch was problematic because Tim Meadows didn't make it.
No, he did not.
No.
All right. Well, I played the credits. I can't play them again. That's not how this works.
I can understand that. It's like the range game. Once you played them, you can't play them again for 63 hours.
There you go. There it is.
All right. Say good night, Joseph.
Good night, Joseph.